Every crafting building in Factorio, assembling machines, labs, oil refineries, chemical stations, centrifuges, and even the rocket silo force you to choose the recipe you are making before it will work. Except for furnaces. Yep, furnaces just take whatever you give them and spit out the result. 99% of Factorio players will not even notice this tiny detail, and for good reason. If you need more iron, just make more iron.
How do we still need more iron?
But if you've been infected with the forbidden knowledge of programming, you know that if you can optimize something, then you do it. It doesn't matter if it makes things worse. You optimize it. In a normal game of Factorio, you'll run around setting up mining, smelting, researching, increasing iron production, assembling, powering, increasing iron production, scouting, greeting the natives.
I'm gonna grab another missile launcher. I'm just gonna walk down there at daylight. I'm gonna launch the fucking nuke and then
setting up trade networks, reducing pollution, and increasing iron production.
How do we still need more iron?
Generally, you set up way more smelting than you currently need, so you don't have to come back in the future. While you're off doing non-smelting things, your furnaces will back up and naturally stop producing the overproduced resources, and here we find the problem. Imagine we smelt 2 rows of copper and 2 rows of iron. Suddenly, we need more iron, so we set up 4 more rows of iron, bringing our total to 6. This is more than we need right now, but soon we hit a point where the base needs 5 rows of iron and 3 rows of copper. With our current setup, we meet our demand for iron with 5 of our 6 rows and are left with 1 row of iron sitting idle. We still only have 2 rows of copper, which is not enough to provide the 3 rows that are needed for our base. Wouldn't it be nice if that idle row of iron could be used for copper smelting instead of nothing? Well, it can.
oh sh
Nice.
Kind of. There are actually a ton of issues with trying to build an Omnismelter, and I'm here to document the problems, the designs I came up with, and if there are any scenarios where you would want to do this yourself. Let's start with the 4 smeltable resources: iron, copper, steel, and stone bricks. Normal smelting separates these into 4 different arrays with 4 different train stops, and when we want to make more of one, we just increase the number of furnaces dedicated to that resource. It's simple. You should do it this way. But imagine the world where smelting is generalized. You drop off any ore at one big train station. When you need more iron,
How do we still need more?
you don't just make more iron smelting, you make more everything smelting. I think you get the idea. Let's look at the first design. I'll be using blue belts, electrical ovens, and beacons in all my designs, meaning that they are all late game oriented. I tried making some with steel furnaces and red belts, and it sucks even more than it should. The train drops off a pile of unsorted garbage, and I have splitters separate the stone ore that makes the stone bricks and the iron plates that make the steel plates into their own lanes. Why? Because there's a sneaky little fact that plagues the very essence of the Omnismelter. Steel and bricks require multiple of their inputs to be smelted. Why is this a problem? Because if a furnace gets stuck with an odd amount of stone or an amount of iron bars that is not a multiple of 5, it cannot take inputs of other kinds. This might not seem bad, but it means that if we suddenly switch from steel to copper, all the furnaces with iron plates in them will not smelt anything until the iron plates are removed. So just remove the iron plates from the input, you might be thinking. No, you can't. The only way to remove items from the inputs of machines is to do it by hand. Seriously, without mods, there is no other way to remove them. The developers have even shot down requests to have this added. And yes, there is a mod that specifically allows you to remove items from the inputs of buildings, but I'm all about mods. Anyway, this design sucks. Let's list all the reasons why it sucks. Items get backed up in the splitter, smelting is extremely uneven between furnaces, items get backed up in the train, we're using a bunch of medium pulls. This isn't even really an Omnismelter because items are smelted in their own lanes. Okay, get this out of my sight. I really adore this design. It took me forever to make and it has a ton of cool features. Over here we have a bunch of curse technology called combinators. They're unlocked on your 8th playthrough of the game and allow you to stare at numbers and symbols and cry. In this build, they allow me to add some cool things. When bricks or steel, our problem resources, are being smelted, all other resources are blocked from the input belt. Additionally, inserters that insert into furnaces have their capacity limit set to 2 for bricks and 5 for steel to prevent them from getting clogged. A timer that gets reset with any activity is constantly ticking down, and if it hits 500 ticks, which is roughly 8 seconds, then excess garbage on the belts is flushed into a dumpster where they can't block anything. Bots help sort the garbage and unload trains, and you can even configure which resources each lane can accept. But it still gets clogged, it's extremely complicated, and if you paste this into a map with your friends, they will subjugate you. What? You don't have friends because you play Factorio? Just find a lobby and do what everybody else does. Jump in the Discord, sit there completely silently, build some part of the factory, yell at people for their suboptimal designs, and then sulk and do nothing. It's called socializing. Get out more. It turns out that the capacity limit sets the maximum that the inserter can pick up, but I was left with no way to set the minimum, so these inserters can still grab the wrong numbers of inputs for stone and steel. This is because I'm pulling resources from belts. If I were pulling from chests, then I could count the number of items in the chest and turn off the inserter if the count was below a certain value. If only there was a way to only use chests. And oh boy, there is. Factorio's best feature, in my opinion, are the flying robots. They can build things and move resources for you and give such unique mechanics and aesthetics. I just love them. Some people believe that they're cheating because they trivialize certain aspects of the game, but those people aren't trying to build an Omnismelter, now are they? Just look at it. There are robots flying around in crazy patterns, furnaces surrounded by the maximum number of beacons, wires everywhere, chests preventing furnaces from getting clogged, an attempt at symmetry. This is what God intended. In fact, this build can switch which resource is making based on logistic inputs in under 10 seconds and even make a specific amount of resources provided you have the inputs. Flying robot time and productivity modules create a margin of error of up to 80%, but nobody ever said make less iron.
How do we still?
Because I'm building an Omnismelter and I turned off smelting for the last 7 hours, and this is allowable in the contract you signed, so please contact my lawyer if you have any questions. So I finally have something that meets the basic requirements, but it's kind of small. Even one cargo train is too much to handle, so naturally I turned it into an even bigger square. Yes, this does go faster, but there's something off about this. Making a bigger square just feels kind of bloated. Bots travel all the way to the edge and back. It seems wasteful. With bot-based designs, it's best to load or unload in the middle to reduce travel time. And so I got to work, solving equations, making designs, editing designs, destroying designs, incorporating successful aspects of past designs, slowly piecing it together.
Main rail line, crossed unloading station, rail signal, parallel processing, rail chain signal, 24-way intersect, tileable, open source, chain rail signal, priority smelting, average flying time, backwards compatibility, configurable back massager, GitHub integration.
And then it hit me. It was there the whole time. It was so obvious. Why didn't I see it sooner? I had to make a fidget spinner. That's right, this is hands down the best thing I have ever made. 4 squares of bot smelting are split by rails. Each split has an unloading station that can accept any resource and a loading station for one of the 4 resources. Each square prioritizes smelting resources that load on adjacent sides, reducing bot travel time. With around 1,000 logistics bots, this design can consistently handle about 6 cargo wagons dropping off any type of smeltable resource. The roboports make this great ball shape, and nothing beats seeing a giant fidget spinner on the map. Just leave the electric networks off. Did I mention it's tileable? Yeah, you can copy and paste this baby all around the map, and it even leaves space for connecting existing train networks and solar panels. Just don't connect it like this, because then bots all the way from over here will try to get resources from over here. I mean, it does look kind of cool, and it can't stop you. Never mind, go crazy, do it, whatever. All right, let's see it in action. Look at that. We drop off all 4 types of resources at once, and as promised, each corner smelts only 1 resource until it's gone. There's virtually no furnace downtime, and look at these crazy winding paths the trains take to get to the stations. Setting up 20 rail chain signals is finally paying off. So, is maintaining the long-term ore-demand balance of an Omnismelter lower complexity than maintaining 4 separate smelting arrays? No. Is it more efficient for your PC when you're making a megabase? No. If you can afford to make 808 speed module 3s, should you create this? No. Is it based? Yes. Yes, it is.
Blueprint string for the fidget spinner is in the description.